If you're a leftist who's worked to destroy the U.S. economy and the future of the country and torn our culture to shreds, you don't have much to campaign on this year. So, on the other hand, if you distract everybody by sending the Army into North Carolina on Monday to restore grown man's right to use the little girl's room, then you can get the voters' minds on something else and expose all of those mean-spirited Republicans who would force some transsexual to pee his pants, I guess. 844, Bill Colley with you on Top Story on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com. It's 56. I thank you for joining me this morning. And just a quick note, too, if you're listening to the program, I thank you for being here with us. And I know a lot of you are here every day. I know people may criticize you for that, but I still thank you for joining me. Hearing this show, I think, is critical. My view, again, I say I don't have any huge degrees that I've piled up behind me, and no expertise in that sense. I'm just a regular American who can string two sentences together. I guess unlike a lot of illegal immigrants, and I share my thoughts on the radio because of that. But I've been telling you about our friends at Mount Harrison Audiology in Rupert, where they will help you if you've got a hearing issue, so you can continue to listen to this program. Did you know that your hearing health and brain health are connected? And Mount Harrison Audiology, they've been studying the research on cognitive health and hearing. The most recent findings prove that when hearing loss is addressed with hearing aids, the effects of cognitive decline are greatly diminished. Hearing is critical for communication, for connection to others, and for overall well-being. Now would be the time to improve your hearing. You can call Mount Harrison Audiology for an appointment today. The number, 208-312-0957. Caller joining us. You're up next at 8:45 with Bill Colley on Top Story.
Good morning, Bill.
Morning.
The bathroom problem could be solved by using a single-use situation.
A woman suggested that yesterday in a letter in the Press Tribune up in Napa.
Okay, great idea. Put a lock on it. Burger King already does this, and people wait in line if they need to go to the bathroom. Nobody beats on the door or anything else.
I know that when I was in kindergarten, that was how it was done. You had one bathroom, and you had a stop-and-go sign on the door, and that's what we would use. And when you finished, you came out and you flipped the sign around. And then as you got older, you could use the actual boys and girls rooms in the school. But at least when we were very young, we had that privacy.
Well, we need to do it again.
I guess we're just going to have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to retrofit all of these businesses. I guess we can force them to do it because, of course, they have all sorts of money sitting around in the cash registers.
Have a good day.
Hey, thank you very much for the telephone call. 736-0300 is our telephone number, 736-0300. So, how is this working, this transgendered thing with the bathrooms and the dressing rooms? In Texas, of all places, there's a Fox TV affiliate, Channel 4, that operates in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and it covered a story that took place a couple of days ago. We picked the story up in progress here. Take a listen to what's going on at a Target store where they are allowing this to happen.
I mean, it freaks me out in general. So many kids, irresponsible kids, have cell phones and they take pictures of everything.
It's a creepy thought to Katie Lazat. Frisco police are looking for this young man, pictured here walking out of the Super Target on Preston Road. Investigators say he put his cell phone over the wall of a female changing room and shot video of an underage girl.
You have to be extra careful and you have to watch your back even more just because a guy could take a picture of you and you least expect it and you don't want that picture being taken.
It happened around 7 o'clock last night. Police say as the girl noticed the camera while changing clothes, the boy took off. She told her parent, who told an employee, but by that time the peeper was gone.
With the phones, where you can do anything you want, it's kind of scary.
Police got this picture from store surveillance and want the public's help identifying him. Melissa Tollinger says some parents who give their kids phones also need to teach them the right way to use them.
They don't realize the ramifications of sending one text. Once it's out there, or taking a picture and doing the Snapchat or whatever. I think they're too young to realize the implications of it.
You never know who's watching. And once it's on the net, it stays there forever.
So I guess we could call this the pervert's permission policy. We'll use a little alliteration since we're talking about a TV story and they enjoy that sort of thing in broadcast news. Didn't we tell people this was going to happen? Yes, but we need to. You're suggesting that everybody who is LGBT is a pervert and a child molester. No, what we're saying is, I keep bringing this up, is that allowing this to happen means that the perverts and child molesters, they're not stupid in some cases. They will claim that they need to use the ladies' room or the ladies' dressing room so they can go in and do these things. What part of this is not getting through the heads of liberals? Well, what gets through their heads in the first place? 10 minutes away from 9 o'clock. Bill Colley with you on Top Story on News Radio 1310, KLIX, and newsradio1310.com. You can reach our program by dialing us up at 736-0300. That's 736-0300. There's the common sense arguments you can make in all of this. They just keep ignoring those. When you've got the Justice Department in Washington, D.C., threatening to send in the federal troops because North Carolina won't soften its stance on all of this, again, we have 95 million Americans who are out of work. What in blazes is the priority of these folks on the American left? You're up next. You're on the air with Bill Colley on KLIX.
Good morning, Bill. Bill, about 10 years ago, the media decided they were acting like casting directors in a play and decided that Obama would be great to play the part of the president. But the only job he ever had that we know of was in an ice cream parlor in Hawaii. And I would like to know if he ever, how long he worked there, what was his job, management or cleaning toilets? Did he quit or was he fired?
Those are good questions, and I hope that he was washing his hands before he scooped the ice cream. I thank you much. Did you ever see that movie Animal House? You remember they have a band that comes and plays in the basement of the fraternity? And the guy's name is Otis. And then they're out driving down the road one night and they see that Otis is playing at a bar. And they decide to pop in and say hello to him. And, of course, it's a bunch of white college students and everyone in the bar is black. And there's this huge tension that develops between the two groups. And there's that old saying, I think, from the early 1960s among liberals, and that was, Negroes are cool. In other words, gee, they play jazz and they dance and they're hip, and it's a very bigoted outlook. But you cover it up by saying, oh, they're cool, and they're so cool, we've got to save them from all of their oppression. And I think modern media, when Barack Obama came along, had that same reaction. Negroes are cool, just like the guys in that movie Animal House. And so they gave us Barack Obama. Oh, he's so hip, and he's the smartest man ever to occupy the White House. Really? What about Abe Lincoln? How about Thomas Jefferson? What about George Washington? Woodrow Wilson was a big government guy, but he was pretty bright as well. He'd been the president of Princeton University. How about, how about Richard Nixon, who had an IQ off the charts? Yeah, but those were all people enjoying white privilege, and it was all because of their white privilege that they were smart. If they hadn't had that white privilege, they would have been dumb dummies, and they would have been the ones eating the chicken wings and guzzling the 40 ounces. Oh, we can't say that. We're liberals. That would be bigoted. Excuse me. 852. Bill Colley with you on Top Story on News Radio 1310, KLIX and newsradio1310.com. And so media fell in love with this guy. Candy Crowley wanted to have his babies, so she shut Mitt Romney up during a debate. It just, she couldn't wait. Of course, tell her obvious, how shall we put this? Her obvious desire, because no one else will look at that. I've got this today, bathroom bills and CEOs, why corporations are siding with transgenders. This is by Dr. Stephen Turley, who I happen to know personally. I did not know that he was so well known around the country when it comes to writing at places such as, in this case, he's writing at a very well-known website, and it's called the Imaginative Conservative. He's a professor at the University of Delaware, and I knew him, slightly acquainted with him when I worked in that state some time ago. But he's pointing out all of these big corporations that are not only hammering North Carolina like the government. They're coming out and saying that if you do not allow 35-year-old men to go into the little girls' room so they can squat next to the little girls on the toilets, that you're being bigoted. That's what corporate America's gotten on board with this as well. But he's telling us in his column, he said, corporate America is not doing this out of any sense of fair play or out of support for any particular group. I found this on page 3 of what he's writing. He says, they are in point of fact merely protecting the commodified constituencies they created and depend on for continued economic consumption. In other words, men who wear dresses still buy products. So that's what's important to them. There's no morals involved in this whatsoever. It's all about what can we sell. And the writer says such boycotts are thus not about protecting fairness and equality. They are about protecting corporate self-interest. In fact, there's nothing even remotely moral about lifestyle values. Bill Colley with you this morning on Top Story, 736-0300. You're up next. You're on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com. Well, I think I've lost your call.
No, I'm here.
Well, go ahead then.
Oh, I didn't realize. Am I on the air?
You are.
Oh, sorry. Hey, listen, I am from out of town, but I find your vernacular to be a bit antiquated, and I'm not really sure if there's a veiled agenda that you have, but, using the term Negro is about, 67 years old.
Which is why I used it, pointing out people who used it back in 1962 when the movie Animal House was taking place.
Yeah, I understand. You're talking about Otis Day and the Time, by the way.
Yeah.
That movie.
Very
but
good.
What I'm getting at is, it just seems to me that just by using that, you're kind of stirring the pot, which I know is probably your job, but I think it's inappropriate. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, you better call the police then.
Well, can't call the police. It has nothing to do with that. You have a right to dumb opinion.
Well, then call the Democrat Party.
It has nothing to do with the Democrat Party. I'm not a Democrat either.
Call my mom.
Yeah, well, I could call your mom. That'd be fine. Your mom probably be the best person to put soap in your mouth.
I'm pointing out that term, which is archaic, as you say, or antiquated, which somebody decided along the line was antiquated, even though it was the polite term that my grandmother and her people used, because there were a lot nastier terms at the time. And then, of course, we were told, well, no, it's no longer that. It's African American. Now it's people of color. Next week, what's it going to be? It just seems to change. But my point is, you've got people in modern media who are so backward, they think in those terms. I'm making a point there which is not getting through your cranium.
No. I'm not getting through your cranium. What I'm saying is if the term is shifting, you allow the class of people that have that term to decide what they want to be called.
Hey, I hear your husband calling you.
What?
Hey, thank you much for the telephone call, sir. 736-0300. 736-0300. Bill Colley with you on Top Story on News Radio 1310. KLIX and News. I'm making a point facetiously about modern media, how modern media is so stuck in some old-time cultural values of their own. That's why I use that word. By the way, I also like to watch the Washington Redskins on TV. You're next. You're on the air on KLIX.
Hi, Bill. To that last caller, come on. We got a guy in the White House right now. Look at what he's doing. And he's complaining because you're saying the Negro word? Come on.
I'm making a point about how out of step these people are with modern times in American media.
Exactly.
That's why, in other words, I'm putting the term in their mouths, and this nitwit can't put 2 and 2 together.
Well, 2 and 2 is plus 5, right?
Yes.
See you, Bill.
Thank you much for the telephone call, sir. 736-0300. Bill Colley with you this morning on Top Story on News Radio 1310, KLIX and newsradio1310.com. I heard of a talk show host who got in trouble because he used the word Orientals in describing people from Asia. Oh, that's mean and hurtful. And, well, it's a lot better. I used to know a fellow who fought with the paratroopers in Vietnam, and what he used to refer to those people, far, far worse. His experience was a little different, though, as he was fighting them off at an air base one time while he was saving our troops, his fellow troops, during the Tet Offensive. I gave him a little bit of slack on that. Bill Colley with you on Top Story this morning. Coming up, we have a guest in just a few minutes following Fox News at 9 o'clock. Reggie Stearns is a candidate running in a primary against Maxine Bell, who's really a political legend in the area. They're both Republicans. He's going to be telling us why he made this decision. That's on the way in just a few minutes right here on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com.